We're ready to start.
Go.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ken Gillis, Chair of the Thompson-Nicola Regional District Board of Directors. And on behalf of all of the Tnrd Board Directors, I would like to let Tnrd residents know that the board is closely monitoring the situation throughout the Tnrd, or through the Tnrd Emergency Operations Center. In addition to the impact on rural residents in the district, the Tnrd is the district that the Tnrd is directly responsible for, we recognize and acknowledge the impact of fires on residents in the village of Lytton and in many of our neighboring First Nations communities. My role here today is to chair this public information meeting, and I will be introducing each of our presenters. Our intention in arranging this meeting today is to provide an opportunity for the various agencies involved in responding to the current wildfires affecting the areas covered by the regional district, a way to provide information to the public in one venue. We are holding this meeting in an electronic form, as many residents who have been evacuated have dispersed to various locations, and this format allows any resident to view this meeting from any location. This meeting will be recorded so that it is available for viewing after the meeting for anyone unable to attend as of 2 p.m. today. Depending on the activity of the fires in the region, we will continue to monitor the need for having these types of meetings on a regular basis as we move forward. The Tnrd covers a very large region, and we are currently experiencing 4 fires of note that have resulted in evacuation orders and alerts. Many of these wildfires grew in size and complexity with unprecedented speed, given the exceptionally dry conditions resulting from the current heat wave. I would like to recognize the RCMP for their incredible support in going door to door to get information into the hands of residents when immediate evacuation has been required. As well, I'd like to recognize all of the volunteers who work as part of emergency social services in setting up and operating the reception centers throughout the province that are currently supporting our evacuated residents. Responding to emergencies such as these current wildfires involves coordination of a number of agencies that are experts in their respective fields. It is with this coordination of experts that makes responding to these wildfires possible. Today, we will hear from representatives from Bc Wildfire, RCMP, Emergency Management BC, along with various elected officials from or who have been invited to attend the information meeting to provide information. So without further ado, I will welcome MLA Jackie Tegart.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to be a part of this meeting. This is a very, very trying time for people in the community and people in the region. And I've been absolutely amazed at the resilience of the community, of those who are working on the fire, and of those who are out there supporting the community. Our office is open and willing and able to help anyone who has an issue or needs assistance with anything to do with the provincial government. I've been in touch with Minister Farnworth and with Premier Hogan on a couple of occasions to talk about how we move forward, what we can do for the citizens of Lytton. And I want to tell you that they have given incredible support and commitment to assist in whatever the community needs. So I wish everyone the best for where you're at right now, and I know how difficult this is. I'd also like to send out a huge thank you to all of the frontline workers, and please know that no issue is too small. Just contact us. We'll be there to help you.
Thank you, Jackie. And next, I wish to welcome John Hogan from Lytton First Nation.
don't see John in our panel as Chair Gillis. I'm just going to see if he is
Is
an
Mr. Bowman
attendee.
with us?
I don't believe he has joined.
I got a message from Jan Polderman and he isn't able to get on the panel either. So maybe there's a glitch with their link.
Thank you, Director Watson. I'm just going to see if they may be in our attendees and we can bring them in as panelists. Just bear with us for a moment.
Can anybody hear me? Because I can't hear anybody.
Yes, we can hear you, Director Rice.
You can hear me?
Betcha.
Oh, boy. Well, I don't have any.
Okay. I don't see John Hogan in the meeting with us yet, so.
Okay, perhaps we should
maybe
move on then
can-
to welcome from the Village of Lytton representative, which is, or who is Lillian Gray.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you. I'd like to thank everyone on behalf of the mayor and council and our staff for your incredible responses on our behalf. To our residences, at this point, our information is quite limited and the situation is very fluid. We are working to locate all of you, so please register with ess.gov.bc.ca so we can find you and get you in contact with family and friends. If you leave the area you are in, please re-register. This is very, very important. If we can't find you, we don't know if you are safe. For those of you who are looking to go back, please don't. It is incredibly dangerous there right now. There are areas that are quite toxic and we need to keep you out of there and safe. You have already gone through a tremendous trauma and we don't want you going back in there and getting hurt. We are having first responders in there who are taking care of what's down there and we will rebuild at some point. Don't worry, you are not forgotten. We know you're there. We are here for you. If you need to locate someone, please call the Red Cross Reunification line at 1-800-863-6582. And let us know. We are at the same email addresses for Village Council. You know how to reach us. If not, it's our first initial last name at lytton.ca. We will get back to you as soon as we can. Please understand, it's not that we don't respond quickly. It's only that we are in so many meetings right now. You are not forgotten. If you have questions, please get through to us as easily as you can. If you can't, get a hold of someone and get them to get a hold of us. We know you're anxious. We know you're frightened. We are thinking of you and we are with you, if not in body, then in spirit. We are working to get counseling for grief and trauma. We will disseminate that information as soon as we have it. Mayor Polderman will be in contact with various people in the media as soon as he is able. And you can talk to myself or Simone or Anne or Ian if you can get a hold of him. And Robert is down in Merritt. Please don't be afraid to reach out. We will do our best to help you out and get you in touch with whoever you need to get in touch with. Thank you.
Thanks, Lillian. I think it's important to emphasize that the email address to, or the web address to register is ess.gov.ca. And that Red Cross number again is 1-800-863-6582. Thanks again, Lillian. I wish to welcome the Tnrd Electoral Area Directors. I'll start with Director Elliott. Are you online here, Director Elliott?
Let's just see if we are in the waiting room at all.
Director Rice, can you hear us now?
Director Rice and Watson.
Director Stephen Rice.
Yes, he can. He can hear you. Yeah, Director Rice, area I live in Spence's Bridge, where the command center is set up for the Lytton fire. And I do have one thing I'd like to say. just out there, please verify your facts. You can call your mayor, your councilor, your area director, get on the Tnrd website. But before you post on Facebook, have it right. Make a phone call before you post on. People are hurting. You don't want to put hurt on hurt. And when these posts are coming out, you're on alert, you're not on alert. Whoa, it's an event. No, get your facts. Facebook can be a wonderful tool, but during a wildfire, it needs to be a helpful tool. And we're really struggling here in Spence's Bridge to keep everybody sort of level. And so if you want to help with the people that are hurting, the people that don't have a home to go back to, please, before posting on Facebook or sharing something, don't share something if you haven't done the research yourself. For crying out loud, this is unprecedented times. So please, that's all I have to say. It's really important that mental health is not impacted more than it is already through the pandemic and now this. Let's help each other. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Rice. And I think that's a very important point to make, is that it's vital that information should be verified before it's circulated. That's one of the purposes of this meeting today. And thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention, Director Rice. Director Watson.
Thank you. Along the same lines, we need to have a standard that not just all the first responders know, but the people know. Last big fire season in 2017, there were, if you got an evacuation order, there were ribbons tied to your gate posts saying that you had been on order. That was the last time that anybody was coming. And I thought it was an excellent idea, but to the north of us, somebody went around and tied ribbons onto poles and nobody knows what it meant, and they didn't know whether they were evacuated or not. And just a horrible mix-up. It had nothing to do with Facebook, by the way. It almost sounds like it was mischief. And what we need is a standard that everybody understands, so that they'll know, even if they weren't there when the evacuation alert came, they'll know what's going on. Facebook and all social media need to be absolutely accurate. And I have to say, this time I am able to find better information. Thank you, Wildfire BC and the Tnrd. And our stress level is, of course, very, very high, and it's easy for people to be misled. So we need to be really on top of it. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Director Watson. We now are going to hear from Caitlin Baskerville from BC Wildfire Services with a fire update and current tactics, and then area restrictions. Caitlin, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Caitlin Baskerville, the Kamloops Fire Center Manager. I first want to acknowledge all those that have been displaced and experienced tremendous loss over the last few days. We ourselves, within our own lines, within our own staff, within our own crews, have also been displaced and experienced loss. But I truly believe in us as a community, and us as a province, and our resiliency in that, and the agencies that are here to respond to get us through this time period. A bit of an overview of the last 4 days. The Kamloops Fire Center has responded to over 170 starts in our region alone. Many wildfires have experienced extreme growth, as we know, as a result of the super drying event that advanced fuel drying by 3 weeks in most of the province and made what was already hazardous fuel in the Kamloops Fire Center extremely volatile. That being said, we are currently seeing conditions, and still are, that are more closely resemble what we would normally see mid-August, and we're seeing it at the end of June and beginning of July with the temperatures that we've seen and the lack of precipitation that we've seen over the last 2 months. In terms of resourcing, provincially, we are optimizing resources and pulling from other less affected areas of the province for our foreign fires of note. We also are maximizing the use of contract crews within local industry, and we have national requests in for support from other provinces, which will be arriving in the coming days. We're also working with the federal government and the Canadian military to secure additional assets to support BC Wildfire and our communities in the form of aviation resources, as well as discussions about potential ground resources as we continue to see these trends. The Kamloops Fire Centre has crews stationed in zones throughout the region to most efficiently respond to new starts, and we're trying to respond to our 4 fires of note, but also keep forward looking as well to see what's coming next, and we are well positioned to do so. The 4 fires of note are the Mckay Creek West Pavilion Fire north of Lillooet, the Durand Lake Fire as of yesterday, the Lytton and George Road Fire, and the Sparks Lake Fire just west of Kamloops. All 4 fires remain out of control. However, the incident commanders are in place and actively working with their teams to control the fire. We have been challenged in recent days by smoke in the concerned areas, which limits our ability to fly aviation resources, as well as gain good visibility of the fires, but we are getting there, and we're getting some reprise from the smoke as of yesterday and today. Before we get into the fire updates, we as BC Wildfire Service are primarily concerned with our operations at this point of controlling the fires. That is what we are here to do. In times like this, there are agencies involved, and all of which are on the call today, that are providing many levels and layers of support and playing key and pivotal roles. And I'm sure we're going to hear more updates from the RCMP as well as Tnrd itself. The fire updates that we're providing today, it's a bit of fire behavior that we're seeing, tactics that are being used, and potential short-term outlook with what we know so far. But again, we're just getting started too on these fires. And so still getting a good understanding of what's required next. I ask that if there are any questions, we're willing to have them, and please do ask as it pertains to fire management. But we ask that you just hold off until we are done with the updates of the 4 fires of note, as we do have evacuation orders and alerts on all 4 of them, as well as area restrictions on 3 of them as well. I am joined today by Dennis Rexon, who is the incident commander on the Sparks Lake Fire.
Hi there. This is John Hogan. We were finally added as a panelist, so we were on mute from your end, and our chat was disabled because we weren't considered a panelist at the time. So we were here right from the beginning of the call, but we were disabled by the techs at your end.
Thank you, Chief Hogan. I'll be calling on you shortly. I think what we'd best do is let Caitlin finish with her presentation, and then
Yeah, we're good with that, but we just want you to know we're here, and we were disabled from your heavy-handed technology.
I do appreciate your letting us know. Thank you. Please go ahead, Caitlin, from wherever you were.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, John. Yeah, so as I was saying, I'm joined today by Dennis Rexon, who's the incident commander on the Sparks Lake Fire, and Mark Healy, who's the incident commander on the George Road and Lytton Fire. Before I hand it over to them, I will do an update on the Mckay Creek Fire and the more recent Durand Lake Fire, and we'll entertain questions after that. A good place, we talked about information and control of communications. If anyone who's listening hasn't done so already, I highly encourage you to download the BC Wildfire app and use that dashboard for the most current and up-to-date information, as well as our social media page. Please follow that, because we are doing our best to put as much as we can on there as timely as possible. For the Mckay Creek Fire, it's located 23 kilometers north of Lillooet along West Pavilion Road. It's currently sitting at 23,000 hectares, currently classified as out of control. We are still investigating the cause, and that is still under investigation. Recently received an update from the incident commander there, and he gave me an update that as of yesterday, they saw no growth in the fire, and they have aviation resources as well as crews on ground, continuing to work spots on the fire and suppress it and build a perimeter around it. For the Durand Lake Fire, it's approximately 28 kilometers southwest of Kamloops. Started yesterday, currently estimated at 450 hectares and classified as out of control. The suspected cause is by the lightning storm that was experienced here 2 nights ago in the Kamloops region, as well as Vernon region. The zone is currently working on strategies for fire suppression. We do have air support in place, and they're continuing to work today. And that fire is looking pretty good in our eyes. We do have an evacuation, there's an evacuation order that has been put in place. But we'll look to see what's, we'll link in with the incident commander here shortly to see what's possible, as we're seeing some downward reduction in the size of that fire already. On that note, I'll hand it over to Dennis Rexon, who is the incident commander on the Sparks Lake Fire, for an update.
Great, thanks, Caitlin, and thanks for inviting me to this forum to try to provide a bit more information to the folks affected by this very large wildfire. It's day 3 for our incident management team on this incident. It's over 30,000 hectares, so over 300 kilometers squared. It's quite large, and a lot of that volatile fire activity that occurred a couple of days ago has just really increased the footprint of this fire, and we're certainly playing catch up right now. We're prioritizing our actions with structure protection and our 135 firefighters in priority areas in and around protecting communities and trying to establish anchor points that we can work from safely in response. We are working with a lot of local industry players to help support us in containment of this incident. We've got over 30 pieces of equipment working on the east, south, and western flanks of this incident, and we're developing our plan and contacts with access into the north end of this incident in the near future. Currently, our priorities right now are for the safety of the public, safety of our responders, and protecting core infrastructure within the perimeter of this very large fire. In order to do that, we have made recommendations and received tremendous support from Thompson-Nicola Regional District, as well as Skeetchison First Nation in supporting those recommendations. There's also a large area restriction in place, and as we get better modeling, we will be reviewing all of those recommendations on restrictions, alerts, and orders as we get into this very long event that we're expecting to be here for. As Caitlin said, we're doing our best to provide accurate, timely, updated information at bcwildfire.ca in the wildfires of note. We're trying to provide a community bulletin that's fairly specific to the Sparks Lake Fire on that link, as well as with critical links to, as Director Rice had indicated, the owners of the information. So whether it's Tnrd or Skeetchison First Nation for orders and alerts, those links are there with the accurate information that ought to be shared for awareness for folks. We are also doing our best to provide written copies of updated information at the reception center on MacArthur Island. As we get into the next few days of this incident, we are expecting additional resources incoming, and we are seeing some decreased fire behavior on the east, north, and western flanks of this incident. That's allowing us to get in and hope that growth stays fairly minimal. The southern end is still providing us with some fairly decent fire activity in the last 24 hours, and we're really assessing where we can be effective and our strategies that we will employ to secure those lines. That's all I have at this time. Caitlin, back to you.
Thank you, Dennis. And now over to Mark Healy for an update on the Lytton Fire and George Road Fire.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. So the update for the Lytton Fire, which is Fire 1086. The great impacts to the Lytton First Nation and the community of Lytton itself is very significant. And we're working with several structure protection groups to mitigate the impacts to our first responders within the community, so that we can safely and effectively move through there to move both up Highway 1 and Highway 12 to where the fire has been spreading. And that's been our #1 priority. We are also working on critical infrastructure, communication links, as well as the rail lines need to be repaired. And we are also working really hard with outlying communities, local First Nations, to minimize further impacts as the fire continues to spread, both up the Highway 1 corridor and the Highway 12 corridor. With the resources we have at this time, we're working hard on what we're calling the heel of the fire, and trying to make sure that we can stop the spread northwards towards Prentice Bridge, and also trying to prevent the fire from crossing the Fraser River. And that's really all I got for now. And yeah, I'll wait when we get the questions.
Thank you, Mark. So if there are any questions as it pertains to the fire updates, now would be a good time, as both incident commanders are extremely busy and will probably have to jump off the line in pretty short order here. So are there any questions for BC Wildfire?
I have a question for you.
Hi, Caitlin. Just a quick question. Can we get an update on the status of the fire and our watershed?
Is that for the Lytton fire for 1086 and 804?
Yes.
Just wondering when they would come back to me for my update as well.
So you're waiting for an update the same as Councillor Gray? Is that what you're saying?
No, they introduced me at the beginning to give, along with the mayor, I was supposed to speak right after Jackie Tegart.
Yes, that's right. That was the original schedule. And what I had hoped to do, Chief Hogan, was get through the BC Wildfire presentation, and then you were on my list to be introduced. But anyway, go ahead right now.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You go ahead right now.
Okay.
We're looking forward to your comments.
Yeah, it's good to hear all of this other information, and good to hear from Jackie Tegart and the efforts that the province is trying to move forward with helping and aligning services for various people and doing things of that nature. What really concerns me right now is different organizations like CN is right next to my community, and on IR 24 there we still have a standing gas station on that reserve, and there was a huge structure fire to the CN bridge that crosses the Thompson River. I actually am hoping that CN will stay out of there and not try to repair their bridge until this fire is completely out. We want them to be off-site as well, and we want communication with them. They haven't really communicated their work strategy to us. We're just really ticked that they think they're so super powerful that they're going to get their economy and their trains rolling before they even talk with us. And the destruction that we have to live with is not insurmountable, but we want to be involved in how we return to our living within our community. And CN is someone that has to be accountable to what's going forward with any work they do to remediate that bridge, and we want to be involved. So if they're in there with their machinery and whatnot, we are pissed off because we have the opportunity to go back into our communities too. So that's one thing. And we have evacuees that are leaving from Pavilion and Lillooet. We still have a few of our people that are in that mix, and they're being directed to Whistler at a hotel, and then there's nobody really there to connect with these people that are on the move to get away from Pavilion and Lillooet that are connected with our community there. So those are some of the things, and we're still trying to work on evacuating one elder from the Stein area, and we did have an offer from the Lillooet Search and Rescue. So, and we want to connect more with the Village of Lytton about the hazardous materials that could be present and what else is dangerous to any individual that's going into this hazardous work zone. So I'm really getting exasperated with these other powerful corporations thinking they're ahead of everybody, and we have to work together as one unit to know that things are going to be safe and done in the right way, that we're all involved. It's just still unbelievable that people don't want to have the dialogue and meaningful discussions when that's our land that sits right next. They cross over our land to work on their tracks and do all this other shit.
Chief Hogan, I have to tell you that I'm not sure how to bring the issue with Canadian National forward exactly.
Well, they go through Tnrd lands as well, if that's,
Yeah,
you have to take that position that you have some jurisdiction over public safety, because CN spreads toxics into the environment. They've done that since at least 40 years, spraying herbicides and pesticides into the river. That's how come fish diminish in the way they do. We have to realize that there's more environmental things that go on than we really hold them accountable for.
yes, I understand that and appreciate that. And I think what pressure can be brought will be brought from probably both the local government level and the provincial level, I would hope.
Well, the railway is federal too, so any federal delegate here should be pushing that forward to CN. They try to say, oh, we're going to help you, but this is the help we need to get them to wise up and look at us and listen to us. That's what we told Justin Trudeau and Premier John Horgan. We have to be listened to. We just can't be say, oh, there, you'll be okay. Do you get it?
We get it.
Okay, thank you.
But we can bring that forward with sufficient emphasis to make sure that CN gets it is another question, but we will do our part.
That's what we want to hear. We want to be listened to, Jim.
I think, Ms. L, that brings us, does it not, to Inspector Perry Smith and an update from the RCMP? Unless there were other questions for Wildfire BC, did you get an answer to your question, Councillor Gray?
No, Caitlin, if I could just get an update on the fire in Lytton's Watershed, please.
I'll hand that over to the incident commander. Mark, are you there?
Yep. Yeah, I'm here. So in the Lytton Watershed, which the fire that you're referring to is Fire 804. Both Fire 804 and 1086 are meeting in the watershed. It's not a vigorous fire by any means. It's not taking out the tree canopy. It's a slow moving, slow spreading fire. That's the best I can tell you, but it is burning within that watershed. And the two fires have essentially joined together.
Thank you so much, Mark. Do we know if there's been any water contamination?
I do not know that at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Director Rice, could I see you indicating you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Hey, Mark, glad to meet you. I talked to Jeff. I talked to Scott 2 nights ago, and he said the fire heading up Highway 1 towards Spence's Bridge. I live in Spence's Bridge. He actually gave me your number, Mark, so I'm probably going to be calling you. I have your phone number now. Watch out. Anyways, I guess Scott's going to take a little time off. But my question is, he said it was stuck about, he was said 12, 14 kilometers up from up from Linton. It's sort of held up in some rocks, but that was 2 nights ago. No, a night and a half ago. And so I just want to sort of an update because I'm getting hammered pretty good by the Spence's Bridgians about where the fire is heading our way and how it's moving. And I don't have those answers right now.
Yeah, so the fire in that direction is, we've been holding it at Gladwin for the last 24 hours. And we're continuing to work on that line. And what we're trying to essentially do is push it back up the hill away from the community of Gladwin, and every effort is being made to stop the spread further north towards Spence's Bridge.
Well, thank you. I got 2 more questions. They're real quick. So Gladwin has not been impacted as of yet?
There has been minimal impacts to Gladwin.
Okay.
We've been successful, specifically like around the trailer court.
Okay.
We've been very successul there.
Okay.
There's been no structure lost in that area.
Okay, and how about Cumsheen? That's my last question. How did the rafting resort?
Cumsheen is behind that line, and
Yeah.
there has been some impacts, and
Okay.
to the values there, but at this point we haven't done a values assessment on what has been impacted and what has not. We've been focusing on our suppression effort, preventing the spread of the fire further towards more values.
But the rumor that it's burnt to the ground, is that true or not? That Cumsheen's burnt to the ground?
That is not true.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Director Rice. I don't see anyone else indicating.
Sally.
Sorry?
Director Watson.
Oh, Director Watson, did you have a question?
Sorry, Sally.
Got to unmute. Yes, I do. I asked it in the chat, but I wasn't getting my point across. Should we be closing our trails to ATVs? Just simply to keep people out of areas where they might be out in danger and we won't be able to find them. Is there any way that we can close our trails to recreational use at this time?
MLA Tegart is interested in responding to that question, Director Watson.
Thanks
Okay.
very much, Sally. I talked to Premier Hogan and to Minister Farnworth in regards to shutting down backcountry in our area, and that was announced a day ago, I do believe. And I have heard that people are being stopped coming up through Hope and are being told to turn around and go home.
Okay. Glad to hear it, because we need to be on top of this. Thank you.
And thanks very much for asking my question, Director Watson. That was one that was really troubling me. Does anyone else have a question for BC Wildfire before I move on to Inspector Perry Smith? I don't see any, so Inspector Smith.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to update you on our efforts thus far. Just for an introduction to everybody, I'm the operations officer for Southeast District, and with respect to our response to fires, I'm the bronze commander for the Southeast District, looking after all our efforts and resources within your areas. So in the current 4 fires that we're engaged in, the fires of note, we have quite a large footprint in all of them in the sense of assisting. The CO's office has been amazing. We've been assisting with evacuations and doing evacuations and alerts. But our major focus at this point right now is around the area of Lytton. We currently have tactically trained resources in there that are specifically trained for this kind of a response with alerts and evacuations. I have 20 resources working split between nights and days that are rotating through there at this time. We also have engaged Indigenous Police Services. We brought in originally just to try to ease into everything. We brought in 2 ex-NCOs, non-commissioned officers, 1 detachment commander and 1 corporal that used to be there, as their connections with First Nations and the local leaders in the community we thought would be a best benefit. And I don't believe we could have kept them away if we wanted to, because their connections in the community are super strong, and we're very pleased to have them there. We've also made arrangements with our IPS, our Indigenous Police Services, to keep 2 people rotating through to maintain those connections. They're there for the liaison purposes. We also decided to augment our services in Lillooet because they're impacted by alerts and orders as well. And what our intention is on there, and we've already done it, is putting extra resources in there for day shift and night shift, so that we can, if we do get calls to service in the Lytton area or surrounding area, we'll be able to respond as a police of jurisdiction like we are. We also, obviously, we have investigations that we're working with BC Wildfire on in the area. We have road checks. These road checks, our main ones right now are Highway 1 and Highway 8 in Spencer's Bridge, called East Point. We have Highway 12, approximately 20 kilometers south of Lillooet, called North Point. We have Highway 1, approximately 4 kilometers south of Lytton, called South Point. And we have Murray Creek FSR in the Spencer's Bridge area. And we've had them on Nikoman Band, which we've moved around, in Texas Creek as well. Some of those situations are fluid due to potential tactical evacs. We're just trying to maintain a very solid footprint in there so we can assist the best that we can. Our incident command is set up in Spencer's Bridge, and we're working hand in hand in a unified command with all other efforts that are there. And you know, my heart goes out to everybody that's impacted. We've had our own members lose homes. It's not easy for anybody, and if there's anything I can do to assist, I will make myself available. That's all I have right now. Is anybody out there still?
Yep, we're here.
Does anybody have any questions for me?
You're back. We lost you for a second or two. I haven't seen anybody say that they have questions for you, but I wanted.
I have a question in regards.
Okay, go ahead, please, Chief Hogan.
There's a question about a tactical evac for the West Fraser and the Stein area. There's things being put together for that. I just lost the email, but so does anybody have any information on that? I'm trying to locate the email.
As for the RCMP, I'd have to defer to Tnrd. I know, and Wildfire, because I'm not actually at that location, Chief, at this time right now. So my site command, he has been doing some tactical evacs today and letting me know, but I'm not 100% sure if that is one they've already done or it's one they're currently engaged in.
Okay, I found the email. It says, "Dear staff, EMBC and RCMP just contacted NNTC to convey that a tactical evacuation of the west side is now underway." So that's the latest information. That affects many of our communities on the west side of the Fraser, where the ferry is out. So there's only a CN walk bridge and the escape route through Texas Creek Road to Lillooet, or a helicopter. And then there's also the cable crossing at Kai Creek to Kanakabar.
I've been informed, Chief Hogan, that the BC Wildfire would have ordered that tactical evacuation, and I would hope that they might be able to provide you with further information on it as required.
Okay, which email are you at? I can send you what I was sent.
Can you send it to? Just a sec.
I could share what was sent to me, just,
It's EOC info, all one word, EOC info
yes.
at Tnrd.ca.
Okay, and from the call this morning, that's where we mentioned we had the 90-year-old with Alzheimer's to be removed from the Stein reservation. Thanks, and I'll send that right away.
Thank you ever so much. Does anyone else have a question for Inspector Smith? Are you still with us, Inspector Smith?
I sure am. I'm here for any questions.
Okay, good. Well, there doesn't seem to be any further questions as far as oh, sorry, MLA Tegart has a question.
Just a question in regards to the access to the village. I'm a little bit disturbed about how many photos are coming out of the village, even the drive down Main Street before residents are allowed to go back in. And I understand it is, there is no entry, but it's heartbreaking for people to know that others have been in when they live there, and we're not quite ready for them to be in the community. So I guess how secure is it?
The community is very secure. The unfortunate thing is that we have to bring in, there's fuel trucks or water trucks. There's a lot of access for supplies that are going through that area that have been allowed to go through. And unfortunately, we're not in any position to seize people's phones or anything when they're going through. So it is unfortunate, and I know that it is difficult to view those. We have looked into them. These are not from any of our sources or any of the police or anything like that. These would be coming from, we believe, people that are being put through to deliver supplies.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Are there any other questions for Inspector Smith? I'm not seeing any, but I want to take the opportunity, Inspector Smith, to ask you, and I think I can take the liberty of saying I'm speaking on behalf of MLA Tegart as well, to please pass on our heartfelt thanks to your boots on the ground people, and many of whom are performing tasks none of us would want to perform. We do appreciate it, and we'd be grateful if you would pass that on.
I would gladly pass that on, and thank you for those words.
Thanks for your information, Inspector. It was valuable, and it is in many ways reassuring. We're grateful that you were here for us. That brings us to Emergency Management British Columbia, Mike Knopf. He's going to speak to us about evacuee reunification process and phone numbers and so on, as well as an update for First Nations evacuees. And this is probably the nub, really, of why we're here today. So, Mr. Knopf, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. First, I'd just like to acknowledge that I'm located in the central region for Emergency Management BC, and grateful to be able to conduct our business from within the traditional territory of the Shrupnik people. Emergency Management BC's mandate is really to provide coordination and support to local governments and First Nations. So we're the coordinating agency. When it comes to emergency support services, or ESS, as you will hear it referred to, ESS is a volunteer-based program. So the services provided are provided by local government or First Nation volunteers. So when a community needs to evacuate, if there is not an existing plan and they do not have a destination to go to and a predefined plan, then they come to Emergency BC and seek support. Our procedure is then to approach other First Nations and local governments and ask them to step up their programs to support other communities. So so far, and I'm sorry I don't have a complete list of everybody who's been engaged, because it's been really quite an extensive operation, but we have seen the city of Merritt, the Lower Nicola, Indian Band, the district of Lillooet, Spence's Bridge, Boston Bar, Chilliwack, the Central Okanagan Regional District has stood up, and we've been sending evacuees to all of these locations where the governments of jurisdiction have stood up their programs to support people in need. And, you know, my deepest condolences to the individuals who've been impacted by these events. I understand they're very difficult. So that's our goal, is to try to provide those supports to evacuees. And, you know, I do have Jordan Turner, our Director of Communications, online, and maybe I'll just get Jordan to speak a little bit about the reunification numbers that have been supported by the Canadian Red Cross, and a little bit about the registration or information numbers. Jordan?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And yeah, just want to reiterate the condolences to the entire community. This is obviously a very, very difficult time, and go over, as mentioned earlier on the call, whether or not you need support. It's really important that all evacuees register, so we know where you're at and we know that you're safe. There's multiple ways that we can make sure that people are safe. There is the province's evacuation registration and assistance tool. It's online. That one is available at ess.gov.bc.ca. And I know in some instances, some people may have trouble with that online site, or the registration won't work. If that's the case, you can also get in touch with us by phone. The emergency support services line is 1-800-585-9559. There's also, obviously, outside of EMBC, we're working with other agencies to make sure that people can be reunited, and we can find out where people are. One of those being the Canadian Red Cross, and they have stood up working with the province, a family reunification service. The phone number for that is 1-800-863-6582. And so any of those ways is a good method to make sure that you register if you've been evacuated, or if you are looking to find somebody who is currently missing. Lastly, just the BC RCMP, we're working with them as well. And if anywhere in the province, you can, if you're looking for someone who's not accounted for, you can call or attend any RCMP detachment. All the systems are integrated, and report that person missing. So this would be anyone who may have been in Lytton on Wednesday, June 30th, and you now do not know their location. You can walk into any detachment or phone any detachment and put in a missing person's report for them. And that's it from me. Mike, do you have anything else, or should we turn it back to the panel?
No, I don't have anything else. So happy to take any questions if there's any from the group.
Director Rex.
Yeah, just one quick one. I was looking at some of the information, and I noticed, I'm not sure, on the reception centers, the Lytton evacuees have one in Chilliwack and one in Kelowna. And this was a couple of days ago, so I don't know if this has changed. The MacArthur Island one was full, and the Merritt one was full. Is those reception centers, or do you know if that's changed at all?
No, my understanding is that I know for sure Kamloops is full. They had a recent evacuation inside of the city of Kamloops, and there was actually no room to put the Kamloops residents in a bed. They spent the night in the arena in downtown Kamloops. So the Kamloops Center is clearly full. I understand that there may be some group lodging beds still available in Merritt, and as well, there's group lodging beds available in Chilliwack.
Okay, and I do want to make folks aware there are a few places in Spence's Bridge, so we can talk later offline about that.
But again, the ESS number, if you are seeking support, you need to go register somewhere. Those numbers or you know, the public information numbers available through your local government, or if your First Nation has one, reach into your leadership and they can assist and they'll engage us.
And just to add to that, on our Emergency Info BC website, we have a list of all the different places where people are able to go right now for reception centers. We ask that you check in first, phone the line to make sure it works. But there's reception centers in 100 Mile House, Chilliwack, Port St. John, Kelowna, Merritt, Pemberton, Williams Lake, and on that site it also gives you options to register online, the addresses, so you can go straight there to get support.
Thank you.
I'll just add that it is highly recommended, though, that if your local government or First Nation leadership have issued an evacuation order, highly advisable to read the order and go to the destination on the order recommended by your government. It certainly assists in reunification, community supports, and if your local government or First Nation is sending out that communication, they've likely already done the legwork to ensure that there will be services when you arrive.
Thanks very much for that. That's an important point. MLA Tegart has a question or a comment.
Just a question to BC Wildfire Services, and I think all of us who are in the meeting understand how stressful the fires are. But this is from someone I think is on the line with us today around the Tnrd fire. Says, please, Jackie, I know you're in this meeting and it's not good. The fire has spread and we need help. Lives are at risk. We need more choppers. Face Lake is there, Dominic Lake. There's lots of water available and all of our guests have been evacuated. There is 4 neighbors left in the area. Please, we need help. I just want to make sure that Wildfire hears that question from someone who has taken the time to send it. And if there's any response,
Disappearing.
that person would certainly appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's to do with the Tnrd fire.
We never heard of that before.
Have we anyone left from BC Wildfire? Is there a response to this? Is that okay? Oh, she on mute.
If there's no one there, we'll follow up directly with their office, but we want to make sure that they hear the questions that are being asked.
I'm hearing no response.
We'll follow up directly.
Okay.
Yeah, just, for BC Wildfire, quite often their time is very, very limited because they are out fighting the fires. So they come provide the information and then they do sometimes have to leave. So what we can do is certainly pass that message to them.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks ever so much. That takes us to the Tnrd Emergency Operations Center. Michelle Nordstrom is our communication person. Please go ahead, Michelle. Bring us up to date.
Thank you. So I'm Michelle Nordstrom. I'm currently the acting information officer with the Thompson-Nicola Regional District Emergency Operations Center. So just here to provide an update on what is shaping up to be a challenging summer already. There have been a lot of people who've been negatively impacted by the wildfires that have been happening in the region recently. And on behalf of all the staff at the Tnrd, I'd really like to express our sympathies for everyone who's been impacted by these fires in our communities. So I'm going to give just a little bit of an information update on behalf of the Tnrd's EOC. So our EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, has been active since Wednesday evening. And at this time, we're operational for approximately 12 to 14 hours each day as required. Usually a little bit more, depending on which position is in there. We have set up a call center for our Tnrd EOC. It can be reached at 250-377-7188 or toll free from anywhere in BC at 1-866-377-7188. Just a bit of an overview on the role that we're playing here. So in an emergency such as this and all the wildfires, it's the role of the regional district to issue evacuation orders and alerts for our rural areas outside municipalities. So we're really out there reaching all of our remote and rural residents within the region. When we determine if an order or alert should be issued or lifted, we work directly with BC Wildfire Service. We get directions from them who are out there assessing the fire and its behavior. So based on their expertise and their direct knowledge of the safety in the area, we'll then take action on that. When residents are evacuated, a reception center will be activated by the Tnrd so that evacuated residents have somewhere to go. We already heard from the ESS perspective on this. So thank you so much for all of the help that you're doing to activate these reception centers so that those that require food and lodging have somewhere that they can go and have somewhere they can reach out to. It's important that when you are given an evacuation order that you register through a reception center so that you can receive these services. So it's really important to be contacting and registering both for the ability to know who has been accounted for and also to be able to get services and support while you're under evacuation. So as of this afternoon, in the Tnrd within our region, we have 8 evacuation orders issued by the regional district and 3 evacuation alerts in place. That affects over 1,200 properties approximately at this time. A lot of our properties are rural and remote. So we always keep that in mind that there could be other properties impacted. So that's always an estimate number we provide. Majority of those are impacted by the Sparks Lake wildfire, which was talked about by BC Wildfire earlier. So there's a lot of activity happening up there that we're keeping an eye on. And understandably, there's always a lot of anxiety for property owners when they know that there's a fire in the area. So as soon as we can safely enter areas where property damage is known or has been suspected to have happened, we'll complete a property assessment on behalf of property owners and provide as much information as possible directly to you, including pictures and videos of the assessment. Right now, we have plans underway to provide residents impacted by the Lytton fire an opportunity to tour the area by bus. Of course, safety is the highest priority for anyone entering the areas. So we really appreciate your understanding and patience while we organize this. And we plan to have this occur as soon as it's safe as possible to do so. So information regarding this is going to be posted on our tnrd.ca website, on our social media channels, and using our alert system. So I'll just give you a bit of a rundown of how to receive information from us during these events and any other events in the area or in the regional district. So always checking the tnrd.ca website. We're posting everything as it happens directly to the website. We also have an emergency alert notification system. Some of you may have already seen us promoting that and signed up to use it. It's called Buoyant Alert. An important message about our Buoyant Alert system, it's one of the other channels we use in addition to all of the rest. So we're still using it to alert on evacuation orders and alerts issued by the Tnrd in our rural and remote areas. So that's outside municipalities. So we understand that there have been some other orders and alerts within municipal boundaries, such as the city of Kamloops. However, our alerting system is for the jurisdiction of the Tnrd, which is outside those municipal boundaries. But A great thing about it is instead of you having to actively come to our websites or our social media channels, you can choose to get these alerts directly to a home phone or a cell phone or an app on one of your mobile devices. So all of our the other traditional media channels, radio and TV, we'd really like to give a shout out to all of our local media who have been following and sharing the information as fast as we're kind of putting it out to help spread the word with people all throughout the region, and letting their family and friends know when something might be happening that's impacting somebody that lives in the region here. Of course, we have our Tnrd Facebook page and other community Facebook groups that we may share specific information in as well. Our Twitter site, you'll get all the same information on there as it comes out. Impacted residents can also send us a message through Facebook. We know that some people may not have the best cell phone coverage or other ways of communicating, but sometimes using the messaging app on Facebook works for them, and that works for us. We will respond. We're here on the other end receiving those as well. And you can always contact us directly at the EOC through our call center. So the numbers I provided earlier, again, we have 250-377-7188, or toll free if you're a little farther out, 1-866-377-7188. That's the update from our EOC. Yes, thank you.
Thanks ever so much, Michelle. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment?
Yes, I do.
Hogan, please go ahead.
Thank you for your information, Michelle. And I really want to acknowledge all of the communities and the volunteers that really step up and step forward to help in these crises and these emergencies throughout our province. But what I really want to express to the TNRD is that we should be having MOTI on these calls as well, because they're a big player going through the TNRD system. And we need to know about the different road situations. And the thing is, with those overhead digital sign informations, we should be including messaging that extreme fire hazards. And the other thing is, do not throw cigarettes out your window, because this is still happening, even though we're under dire emergencies here. People still do that idiot thing and throw a cigarette out their car window. There should be portable ashtrays given to people if they want to choose to continue smoking, and that's got to be disastrous. That remember the Hope Princeton fire, that's where that started from. The other thing is where she's talking about social media, get these messages out there to not smoke under these high extreme conditions. And we have to educate people that you got to get out of the back country when there's these things in place. And there's just so much. I know when we were younger, we used to listen to an air raid siren when there was a fire, but most communities don't even have that in place anymore. We know people used to ring the bell at a church if there was a fire, but we don't even hear that anymore. Things have got to change, because July and August are going to be much hotter than what June was. And we have to get people trained in all different levels of emergency, whether they're healthcare professionals or whether they're initial attack crews. Let's move it forward. There's training places in BC here in Merritt. They have a huge training facility to get some young people trained and do the fitness tests and move this stuff forward, because we have to help ourselves. We can't just rely on, oh, Alberta and Washington, you're going to come and save us, but we have to have all of those measures in place to be ready. I thank you all once again for listening to me. I know it's challenging, but we have to be listened to as well. Oh, Matt.
Well, I want to thank you, Chief Hogan, first of all, for your suggestions, particularly that MOTI be involved in these meetings, and we will certainly extend the invitation to them for future meetings. And also, I want to thank you for, besides your suggestions, I want to thank you for the common sense approach that you've brought. It's refreshing, and we need it. So I think that's probably going to bring us to a close as far as this, sorry,
Um,
Ms. Sell.
Yes, I'm Debbie Sell. I work in the Tnrd Operations Center, and I want to thank all the members of public that have joined in. We had well over 450 people at one time that were actually seeking information from us. So thank you very much. This will be recorded as well, so those that could not join us at 2 can watch this information later, or any of you that have joined us now, if you want to go back and view any of the information that will be available to you. I just wanted to address one thing. I know it would have been great to be able to open it up to members of the public for questions and answer, but with well over 450 people, it would have been too difficult to manage a Q&A session with that number of people. So we appreciate your understanding that that was just not possible to have that function available in this meeting with the number of attendees we had. So again, I want to, on behalf of the Tnrd EOC and all of the members of the panel here, thank you very much for tuning in. And you know, I just wanted to address the Q&A portion of it. So with that, I'll turn it back to Chair Gillis to wrap us up.
Thanks ever so much. I want to reiterate that it is our intention to continue holding these meetings on a regular basis. There's no specific time set out yet as to whether it'll be every 2 days or every 5 days, but when we discover what the availability of people is and what the appetite is for more of these meetings, we will certainly convene more of them. I think it's important to emphasize to people that we wish you to keep on consulting the TNRD website, because a lot of the information that you're seeking is to be found on that website. So that's TNRD. It's just tnrd.ca, I believe. So please do continue to use that website. It's there for your convenience. We'll provide further information through the website as it becomes available. And of course, as Michelle mentioned, we'll be doing it through TNRD, social media, radio, news outlets, and so on, as well as the Voyant alert system. So thanks once again for appearing, people. Thank you for tuning in. Those who were just able to observe and not take part, as Debbie suggested, it's virtually impossible to have a Q&A system for 450 people on the one hand. On the other hand, it is immensely gratifying that as many as 450 people did pick up on this meeting. And I strongly suspect that there will be more at future meetings. Thank you, everybody, once again.